We begin with this morning's top story, a significant setback for the Biden administration as the Supreme Court strikes down the president's student loan debt relief plan. In the 6-3 ruling Friday, the conservative justices in the majority said the president overstepped his authority when he tried to cancel up to $400 billion in student loans. The high court's decision comes more than 10 months after the president tried to deliver on one of his top campaign promises. But Mr. Biden says the fight is not over. On Friday, he laid out a new path to waive or modify student debt. And the defiant Biden blamed Republicans for snatching away the hope of tens of millions of borrowers were given. Christina Ruffini is at the White House with more. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Dana. Well, President Biden was asked if his student loan program overstepped his authority, and he said he thinks the court misinterpreted the Constitution. So the administration is going to try another route to go about forgiving student debt, but it's going to take longer and is likely to end up back in the very same court with possibly the very same result.
I believe the court's decision to strike down my student debt relief program was a mistake, was wrong.
Hours after the ruling came down, President Biden was at the podium with a new plan.
It's going to take longer, but in my view, it's the best path that remains to providing for as many borrowers as possible with debt relief.
Using something called the Higher Education Act to carve out a new authority to forgive student debt.
If you're more secure that this is a legal route to do it, why didn't you just use this in the first place?
We believe the HEROES Act does give me the authority.
The administration had argued that COVID and the emergency powers granted under a 2003 law called the HEROES Act gave it the authority to relieve $400 billion worth of student loans. But the Supreme Court disagreed. Writing for the court's conservative majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said the law, quote, does not permit basic and fundamental changes in the scheme designed by Congress.
I was really hoping they were going to do the right thing in the name of democracy and all the millions of families who would have benefited from this.
Tiffany Lofton says the $20,000 forgiveness program would have almost eliminated her $27,000 in student loans.
My demand for the next step is that Joe Biden finds another authority to do this very quickly and does it expeditiously.
But the last week of Supreme Court decisions has left the Biden administration reeling from back-to-back blows to the presidential agenda. On Thursday, the court struck down affirmative action practices in college admissions.
This is not a normal court.
Chief Justice Roberts, writing for the 6-3 majority, said, quote, the student must be treated based on his or her experience as an individual, not on the basis of race.
I think the idea that our society can be colorblind is a silly one. We don't live in a perfect meritocracy.
CBS News polling shows that 70% of Americans don't think race should be a factor in college admissions. But data shows that after state courts struck down the practice in California and Michigan, admissions for Black and Latino students fell dramatically at their most selective schools. Now, while the Biden administration tries to hammer out a new rule to get that student loan forgiveness done, a process they say is going to take months, it's also created a loan repayment on-ramp. So after a 3-year interest-free hiatus, those loan bills are expected to start coming again in September, and they will be due. Interest will accrue. But for the next 10 months, a missed payment won't put borrowers into default or harm their credit rating. Jeff?
Okay, Christina, thank you very much.